Hey everybody, Michael Looks here. Welcome to my first review. I was kind of struggling with what to do as far as what album to review. Um, it's my first, so I just wanted to make it, good, everything. So I was kind of thinking about that, and I actually got this idea because my wife mentioned that on Facebook my brother-in-law was raving about the new DragonForce album that came out this year, Maximum Overload it's called. And and I'm kind of priming myself to review that one, trying to see what I think about it so far. But I figured until then, until I get a feel for it, I think I'll start by reviewing, I guess what you'd call a classic, at least for me. But I'll get into that. What I'm going to do instead is DragonForce's third album, Inhuman Rampage. This one has a lot of value to me, more nostalgic value, I have to admit, but I'm going to try to tackle this in a very unbiased way. I know to kind of tell you guys a bit about DragonForce for those of you who are unfamiliar. They are a power metal band, speed metal, a lot of people call it. Basically, it's characterized by really just fast, extremely fast, in the case of DragonForce, pummeling rhythm sections, like just shredding guitars, blast beat drums, basically like machine gun paste, essentially, but also most power metal, especially in the case of DragonForce, is characterized by soaring melodies at the same time. A lot of power metal that you'll hear, this is a generalization, but a lot of power metal that you'll hear is generally more upbeat, more melodic than, a lot of heavy metal. I mean, again, that's generalizing. You're going to find a lot of exceptions everywhere, but in a lot of crossovers between metal styles. But to save time, we will not get into that. Inhuman Rampage came out 2006, and I remember this full well because DragonForce broke onto the scene really big at the time with the single from that album, Through the Fire and Flames. Basically, power metal was one of those things that was always at the back of everyone's minds until that period of time. It was essentially short-lived, kind of a fad. I know, like, almost everyone was talking about them when I was in high school. And when I heard Through the Fire and Flames, I have to say I was sold too, and I picked up Inhuman Rampage as soon as possible, never having heard any other songs on that album. But a lot of times people are like, DragonForce gets a lot of flack, essentially, for basically recycling. Well, they're known to recycle ideas, like as far as lyrics. A lot of them have to do with, like battle and fantasy based, and a lot of times the lyrics tend to repeat themselves over the course of several songs, and they have not been known for a lot of their career to change up their style enough, and it's kind of the point where essentially they're pretty cheesy to some extent, and a lot of people that you'll meet, like, who give them any credit whatsoever, would say, oh, they only have one good song, Through the Fire and Flames, and I have to disagree with that. So I'm going to start reviewing Inhuman Rampage, and I'm going to review it as it is. Like, throughout the course of their career, the things I mentioned about DragonForce really um, gave them a lot of bad rap, and basically to the point in their career where they essentially became a parody of themselves. A lot of people would say, but starting off, like the first detail with Inhuman Rampage, 5 minutes into this recording, I'm very sorry, but the thing is, in the case of this album, Inhuman Rampage, they make that work very well. Pretty well. Pretty darn well, actually. The first song on there, of course, is Through the Fire and Flames, and essentially it lives up to its hype. It is an incredible classic track. Starts out with some really cool acoustic leads, actually, like dual acoustic harmonies. Gives it a really cool flavor that really and basically it's thrown into this just shredding rhythm and just powerful blast beat drums that I mentioned earlier. And essentially, like you get to the first verse, and you got ZP there, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, really soaring vocals. All of this is really reminiscent of 80s hair metal, which I guess alludes to some of the cheese, but basically everybody's on fire, like starting from this first track. It's like that their keyboardist Vadim, he's doing sweeping melodies. The guitars, of course, the guitars are the huge thing. You've got Sam Totman and Herman Lee, everybody was talking about back then. Basically they're just chugging and shredding. Like the guitars are at the forefront. You're gonna hear a lot of guitars dominating on this album, and basically everybody is moving like a mile a minute. You know, drummer Dave, he's always just rocking the drums, and you have the guitars, Vadim's keyboard, like I said, you know, swooping back and forth, but also not sacrificing the ambience at all. The ambience is something that's definitely not at the forefront of this album, or DragonForce in general, but it's very essential to the sound that they're going for. And basically Through the Fire and Flames just really captures what they are all about, and just paves the way for the rest of the album. Like I said, I didn't hear any of their other songs getting this album. It could have been a complete just. But you get to Revolution Death Squad, which kicks things off with more of a chugging, distorted way than Through the Fire and Flames, but still very melodic at the same time. Like even coming in with a good solid riffing intro, and basically you hear they kind of expand on that. You hear some a lot more electronics, keyboards and stuff like that, and you hear some I know there are a couple instances where ZP kind of does like some solo vocals leading into the choruses, and here's some auto-tune in there too. I mean, it's kind of the style they were going for, but I kind of have a beef with auto-tune. I'm sure a lot of other people do. Brings Cher to mind, but essentially it's a very, very good track, and it really expands on what they started with Through the Fire and Flames. And then you get to Storming the Burning Fields. This is a highlight of that album. Say hi. Hi. Hi, Logan. Hi, Logan. But Storming the Burning Fields really showcases something cool. It shows that they are capable of pulling off some progressive elements in their music. And buddy. Showcases a lot of progressive elements, like the middle section. Very cool, very complex arrangements, but very very tasteful at the same time. And then like it carries on with the next track with Operation Ground and Pound, which was the second single from that album, and more uplifting, I would say, in general than Through the Fire and Flames. Maybe doesn't measure up as well, but very, very good. Very, very feel good, but still very powerful, like all of their, most of the other tracks are, like most of the other tracks are as well. I mean, it kind of loses, with the track after that, Body Breakdown, I feel it kind of loses momentum. It's not very memorable compared to the other tracks on there. But the album does pick up with the next track, Cry for Eternity, which kind of follows in the same vein of what they've been doing. The thing is, like, a lot of people argue, a lot of the songs sound the same, but they might. But I think that they showcase enough as far as just giving the album a real solid backbone. And the guitars, like I said, basically after every second chorus, like, you'll hear essentially a long drawn out section where Topman and Lee are just like going back and forth soloing, and the guitars are kind of dominating. A lot of people would say they're too dominating, which I guess that's debatable. So they get back into things with Cry for Eternity, which really, like I said, continues in what they were all about, kind of builds up the momentum from Body Breakdown, which I don't feel stands very well juxtaposed with the other songs in the album. But then you get to the 7th track, Flame of Youth, which is another highlight for me. I think it's where the momentum finally reaches its max near the end of the album, and just really just drives it home. Like, this album was making a point and going for a certain sound, and they just really drove the point home with the Flame of Youth, that song, and it's another highlight for me on that album. And basically, I consider that the climax. They end with a power ballad. Yes, a power ballad. Trail of Broken Hearts, and that's I really like how they kind of ended the album. They kind of toned it down and just kind of brought it to a nice end. I have a hard time judging this one, because I guess it's a good song. It ends the album well on a really good note, but I don't know, just compared with the other ones, I have a hard time. I'm not sure exactly what to think of that, but don't exactly like it, but I liked the idea of it, and I think it ended the album really well. So that was kind of track by track, unintentionally, but I'll try to do a recap really quick. So, DragonForce, really, Inhuman Rampage, very reminiscent of 80s hair metal, really dominating guitars, tons and tons of solos, just pounding mile-a-minute drums, soaring vocals like you'd expect from a band in the 80s, except in 2006, and basically low points. You really get a their formula kind of tends to repeat itself. Verse, chorus, a ton of soloing, chorus, a lot of recycled lyrics, recycled ideas, kind of to the point of cheesy, but I think those weak points really hurt them at the next phases of their career. But for this album, they make it work very well. Doesn't exactly keep up the momentum all the way through, but it's very solid, very rhythmically it's incredible, great melodies, like pretty much all the way through. I give this album an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all